Who's up?
Okay, first up, we got Tara Bunch, who is the VP of Apple. I think we might have heard of that company.
Yeah.
She's going to be talking about the future of human communication. Tara, let's come on up.
Let's do it.
Let's get this going.
Wow. Holy cows, it's like being invited to a giant party. This is my first time at Lesbians Who Tech, so... And I think the first time Apple's ever presented at this, so let's get started. First, I would do a shout out to our Apple Pride group. I think we have a few Apple people out in the audience, so diversity and inclusion is part of our DNA at Apple. And nothing would be complete without mentioning Tim, our fearless role model and leader, out and proud, and leader of Apple. And so big round of applause for Tim. And just because last night when I was with the other speakers at dinner, they suggested I put in a picture of my family, because if you didn't applaud for anything else, you would applaud for this. Eleanor and I are raising 6 kids together in Los Angeles, so I'll put them back up later if things start to go a little sideways on the presentation. I'm going to talk about human communication. And I think really let's start with a picture, because a picture is really worth 1,000 words. This is Pope Benedict in 2005, the announcement of the new Pope. And it's really about the scene here, so just hang with me. You see people standing here waiting for the announcement. This is played out time and time again over hundreds of years. It's always looked this way, except this last time. This is what it looks like now. Tons and tons of smart devices, mobile devices, people capturing the moment, sharing it with their friends, their family, their Twitter accounts. And so I'm going to talk about 3 elements of human communication that I think is moving at pretty incredible speeds. First of all, mobile. Social. You heard about the importance of social. Everybody hashtagging. And then personal. I'm going to start with mobile. When you think about what has really ignited mobile over the last 10 years, it's clearly the rise of the smartphone. You think about 1.4 billion phones being shipped in a single year globally, and it's about 73% of the total volume of cell phones globally. So if you're one of those folks that are still hanging on to your flip phone, now might be a good time to upgrade. You're not taking any risk here. I saw the craziest thing the other day. It's this cell phone case that looks like a giant flip phone. You put your smartphone in it. It looks like a giant flip phone. And the idea is no one will steal it, ever. It would be a fun thing to try, right? Leave it on a park bench and see how long it takes. China sold 500 million of those smartphones. Were purchased in China. And what are people doing with all these devices? Well, they're doing a lot of stuff, but mostly what they're doing involves mobile apps. This is clearly what's igniting the capabilities to grow and expand at exponential rates. There's over 1.5 million apps available on iOS and Android devices currently. That's incredible that you can do 1.5 million different things with a single device. But then let's take a look under the hood. What are people doing with all these apps? Well, first of all, they're doing a lot in terms of social networking. But if you go around the pie there, it's not just about social networking where social is happening. It's happening in games. It's happening with streaming music. People are sharing their playlists. All of the elements of this pie are becoming increasingly social-enabled. And so let's talk a little bit about social and what's going on there. Social network users worldwide, 2 billion. Fast forward, and the expectation is it'll rise to 2.6 billion in the next few years. But what's incredible is where the growth is occurring. It's occurring everywhere, but it's especially occurring in emerging countries and geographies, like India, like China, across Latin America. But this is a really cool thing that I think is it's something that's occurred over the last few years, is how mobile is influencing purchases. How it's creating brands, it's influencing product choices. It's basically becoming a place where people are selling and buying services and goods. And there's no better example of that than what you see with increasing websites and pages is if you don't have a social experience built into what you're doing, you're becoming increasingly irrelevant. Another great example is in China with WeChat. 650 monthly active users. 96% of all smartphone owners in China use WeChat, and they use it all the time. And WeChat is basically a giant social media superstore. Again, another trend that we see across a number of different social sites, where it's not just about communication. It's about selling, it's about buying. It's basically becoming sort of a virtual world that people live in, they buy, they sell, they influence. Let's talk about personal, because personal is an area that, for me, is one of the most emerging aspects of communication. You know, you used to sit down and write a personal letter to someone, and that was a very personal thing. But today, you can send your heartbeat to someone. Nothing is more personal than sending your heartbeat to someone. And so devices are becoming incredibly personal. In the wearables market, the growth was over 170% last year. And so when you think about these devices, wearable devices, and the capabilities that they have, you have to kind of imagine that devices like this will influence the next 10 years of communication, much like smartphones have influenced the last 10. And so now we can connect every aspect of our lives, increasingly through exercise. I love this one. I get up every day trying to figure out how to close my circles, even if I just kind of walk around in my room. You can buy with your watch or your phone with now mobile transactions. And when you're traveling, I love this. The favorite thing I can do right now is open my hotel room door with my mobile phone, which I think is just so cool. But you can have your boarding pass. You can have all of these things at your fingertips. And of course, work. Work is increasingly mobile. We're like a 24/7 generation of people that work all the time, everywhere that we're at. But I'll end on this. At the end of the day, it's not about the technology. It's about the ability to connect in new and meaningful ways with the people and the things that matter the most to you. And so I love this quote because I think it's so perfect. Because at Apple, what we strive to do is to create products that really enrich people's lives. And Maya Angelou said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, and people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel." Thank you very much.